Yeah.
You want to like them, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. You straight gangsters over here,
Straight
man.
gangsters.
Yeah, good morning. We are back. It is Wednesday, September 5th, and you are listening to the Scout Team with Scout Team Sports. I am one of your gracious hosts, the Loudbeard, and right across from me is the greatest patriot I have ever known, and that would be...
America.
Yeah, it's our boy Chris America coming at you. How's everybody doing out there?
Okay, yeah, here I am. Mike was off.
Hey, you know what?
It was just on like 5 seconds ago.
The best part about being live is anything and everything can happen. Yesterday we had some technical difficulties. This morning we're starting out hot, but we've worked through all of those. We had those sound issues yesterday, and I'm glad to be back with you, Chris America. How are you doing this morning?
I'm great. We fell behind early, but unlike FSU, we rebounded today, and we're going to be back stronger, better than ever.
Nice one.
And look at you. You're on top of the drops this morning. It's going to be a great Wednesday. You know what's the best thing about a 3-day weekend?
It's a 4-day work week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, your Tuesday sucks because your Tuesday feels like a Monday. But then next thing you know, you're at hump day the next day, and the weekend's almost here.
Yeah, and the best part about this week, not only is it a 4-day work week, but the NFL is almost back. So we've got a great show ahead of us, right? Because we're going to do AFC predictions. We are going to talk about the AP Top 25 that dropped. The Mariners get in a huge fight. We have some insider scoop on how that came about. And your boy Colin Kaepernick is back in the news again, Chris America. Can you believe this? He's all over the place.
He's all over the place, and I'm starting to gauge. Sometimes you gauge people's reaction. It's kind of a bad way to do it, but you gauge it by social media, and I don't think people are as upset with Colin Kaepernick today as they were 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think it's a little bit lost its sizzle. I think people are more mad at Nike, or they love Nike for doing this. So you're seeing I praise Nike for coming out and giving this ad that Colin Kaepernick, he sacrificed everything, or you see the flip side where you get I'm boycotting Nike because I hate this. This is terrible. God bless America. So you get both spectrums, but people get vocal, but there is definitely not the hate for Colin Kaepernick like it seemed like there was a couple years back. Do you agree?
I definitely agree, and I've seen a few people who I know that are generally against the NFL protests and the NFL kneeling actually start making fun of people burning their Nike gear or cutting it up. So, I think the general consistent, at least for the people that I follow, and I follow all kinds of people. I follow all political spectrums. I don't discriminate against my friends. I believe we all have a right to our own view. I love everybody. I love that you have your own view and that you have the freedom to voice it. So it's not like I just follow a certain type of people or I only hang out with a certain group of people. I have a vast majority of friends who support both sides. And I think the majority of people are making fun of the fact that people are burning their Nike stuff.
Well, it's ridiculous. It's gotten to the point where it's ridiculous. It was an ad. It was for Nike to just bring some attention to it. They didn't go and say anything about kneeling or anything about the anthem because that's very hot button. But they did talk about Kaepernick, and with them talking about Kaepernick, it created all this buzz. And then there's the extremists, and these extremists do stupid things for attention. And when you see it, you see burning of clothing and burning of shoes and I'm never gonna wear these Nikes again. You know what? Come on, guys. We're too PC this in this world. sometimes we just need to let these things go. There are going to be differences in opinions, and we just need to respect those opinions. And when we do respect those opinions, that's when we make progress. When we're burning things and we're getting crazy on social media and we're acting like, I don't know, jerks, that's when we don't make any progress. And right now, when those things are occurring, that's when progress does not happen.
I agree, and I have 2 PSAs on this whole ordeal of one side that I'd like a certain side to know. One, the side that's burning things, stop burning your clothes. If you're that upset about something, whether it's LeBron James leaving or Nike signing Kaepernick, whatever it is that's causing you to burn clothes, there are 40,000 homeless veterans in the United States. So if you truly love veterans and you truly love helping people out, then donate the crap you don't want anymore. I get that you're upset. I get that you don't want to support it and you want to show it somehow. Then if your message is, I support the veterans and Nike doesn't anymore, so shove it in Nike's face with a video of, look, Nike, here is me, an average citizen donating all of your clothes to homeless veterans. Now, I challenge you, Nike, the big billionaire brand, to do the same. Make it that kind of positive impact. Instead, you're making it about yourself. You're making it about you. And then, Kyle, sorry, I don't want to take up the whole mic, but my other PSA, and this one goes towards also respecting a veteran. A lot of people are posting Pat Tillman's picture and saying, oh, if Nike wanted a true American hero who sacrificed everything, why didn't they use Pat Tillman? And my PSA for that is, I've read multiple stories over the years, and Pat Tillman's wife, or his widow, came out again yesterday to say, please, 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 stop using the memory of my husband for your political opinion or your political argument. Just stop. So if you're using that argument of Pat Tillman today and you're listening to this, I respectfully ask just to respect the wishes of Pat Tillman's wife, respect the wishes of Pat Tillman's family, to just stop. There's other arguments you can use. There are other people you can use, but this woman and his family have asked you multiple times to stop using his memory. And if you respect veterans and you respect the memory of veterans and those who've lost it all, you'll respect his family's wishes on that. So that's it. That's all I got to say. I'm done getting on my high horse. I'm ready to move on to other stuff if you are.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
It did. I get
that
serious
really
sometimes,
got
Kyle.
out of hand fast.
You did. You know, actually, the ad itself, we'll move on from it here in just a second, but I just want to say what it says in the ad. It says, believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. I think the message itself is a very good message. It's telling people, you know, if you believe in something, go for it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be on that political spectrum with Colin Kaepernick, even though his face was what was aired. I think that in sports, if you believe that you're good enough to make the team, or if you believe that you're good enough to be a pro athlete, you put all of it into it and you go for it. So I think the message itself on the motivational side is a great message. I just think that we take things so far and we make them into something that they're not, and that is the problem. And that's why it escalated quickly, Chris America. That is why. And I think we should move on because you're right. Let's go. Let's get into it. Now, the AP drops their top 25 after week 1. And, you know, there's some movers and shakers on here. And I think we should dive a little deeper into this, Chris America. Are you ready for this?
I'm a little bit ready for it. I'm looking over it now. There's some differences between the AP and the coaches, but not much. Our UCF Knights, they moved up 2 spots in the AP poll and 3 spots in the coaches poll. They do move ahead of Miami. They do move ahead of Florida State, who dropped out of the top 25. And I think it's premature, Kyle or Loudbeard, and I think you'll agree with me. Florida is in the top 25 in both polls. Premature. Don't do it yet. Give it a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you know, well, it's nice to see Florida getting a little bit of love, but this is another example. I know Florida is your team, but this is an example of the namesake is what is bringing them into the top 25. Now, they beat Charleston Southern, and they did it in a great fashion, but based on previous record and what they did last year and what could be in store this year, are we all already giving high expectations to a team based on it being the legacy of the Florida Gators? And because of you being a fan, you're probably thinking, man, we're really setting the bar high. And then everybody's going to be disappointed if we take a big loss coming up in the next couple weeks, thinking, well, what are the expectations for this season? What were your expectations coming into this season?
Well, I kind of have expectations of it could go one of two ways. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of talent on the Florida Gators. It's the Florida Gators, whether they are 4-8 or 10-0. Like, they get a lot of talent. They get a lot of Florida talent. We've seen what teams like UCF can do when you have the right coach. So I kind of knew we could either go 10-2 or we could go 7-5. So I didn't know where the players were at, where Dan Mullen is at. There's a lot of unknowns, and that's why I say just because they beat Charleston Southern doesn't mean they deserve to be in the top 25. There's still a lot of unknowns. There's still a lot of, I don't know what this Gator team will look like yet. I think by October, after they play Mississippi State, after they play LSU, after they play a couple of other teams, we'll know who the Florida Gators are. But right now, we still don't know, and I feel like maybe a Oklahoma State should be in there, where we have a more solidified view of what Oklahoma State is, what their coaching staff is, that kind of thing.
Another team I would say that could possibly be considered for the top 25 is Memphis. This is another situation where the not being in a Power 5 is putting them a little bit behind the eight ball. Memphis comes out, has a great week 1, had a phenomenal season last year, and I think they should have high expectations this year. They're not considered in the top 25. Now, the SEC, it looks like it's going to be a stellar year for the SEC. So you get South Carolina making it into the top 25. So it's good to see them back into the fold. South Carolina's been a little bit out of that conversation the last couple years. They get back in, but again, it could be premature. It is still early. Miami takes that huge drop, which is probably necessary. They were ranked too high to begin with. And when you look at the top 3 teams, there's no movement there. You got Bama, Clemson, and Georgia. I don't think there's any reason for them to move. I think they all handled their business. So nothing exciting there. Notre Dame takes a big jump. They go from 12 to 8 in the AP poll after their performance and beating Michigan. I would say that that's probably warranted, them moving up the ranks. Now, do you think that's a little too early for Notre Dame to be climbing this high, or you think this is a good ranking for them?
Well, so here's what I don't understand. They drop. So I'm looking at both Notre Dame and LSU. Notre Dame climbed up 4 spots in one poll and 3 spots in the other. They both have them at number 8. So they also had Michigan up towards, 13, 14 last week. They dropped 7 spots in the AP and 8 spots in the coaches poll. So does beating a number 22 team now really mean you get to move up 4 spots in a poll? But even more of an oddity here is LSU in the AP poll moved up 14 spots to the number 11 spot. And then they dropped Miami 14 spots to the number 22 spot. So they basically just flipped LSU and Miami. How is it that you're admitting you were completely wrong on Miami, but then saying, well, LSU crushed that team I was completely wrong on, so I'm going to move them up 14 spots? The logic of AP voting and coaches voting will never make sense to me. It just doesn't.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I think making that significant of a jump, both falling and moving up, you're kind of admitting that you were wrong in the first place, and then now you're almost overcompensating. Like, maybe there's something they're trying to hide. Maybe they're, not understanding how this works. I just don't get it.
They make up rules in their head. They follow a certain system that everybody follows, and it never makes sense. I know one year Louisville beat Clemson, I think it was, but then Clemson was ranked above Louisville. Somewhere no, it was Clemson beat Louisville, but then Louisville was ranked above Clemson a couple of weeks later because Clemson lost to another team, and they don't even think about matchups. It's just like, oh, Clemson lost this week, I got to drop them down 5 spots, and Louisville won, so I got to move them up above Clemson. There's never any logic, and that's why I hate ranking systems, whether it's college football poll, AP, or coaches.
Oh, man, I completely agree. Also, Washington loses. They only dropped 3 spots, I guess because they lost to a top 10 team. But you're 0-1. How are you still ranked in the top 10? Does that make
You're-
sense?
No, it doesn't. And again, I'll never understand the logic. Penn State struggles. Should have lost to Appalachian State. If Appalachian State just had a little bit more talent, a little bit more depth on their team, they probably come out of Happy Valley with a win. They only dropped them 3 spots for that in the AP poll, and only 1 spot in the coaches poll. Penn State is number 10 in the coaches poll. Did they look like a top 10 team to you last week?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And, and another example, and just not to go too far off here, but we talked a lot about Florida State yesterday. Now, Florida State drops out of the top 25, but because Virginia Tech beat a team that's now not a top 25 team, they move up 8 spots on the AP poll. So did they beat that good of a team, or was that team overrated and really Virginia Tech? Where's this logic come from?
There just isn't any. If Florida State was correctly ranked at the beginning of the season, which means they were not ranked, and Virginia Tech was 19, which is what I think they entered the season as, or 20, and they blew out a non-ranked team, we wouldn't be seeing that kind of jump. But it's just so stupid that they would rather say, I wasn't wrong about Florida State. Florida State is still a good team. I have to drop them out of the polls because that's what my stupid mental rules say I have to do. But at the same time, Virginia Tech looked really good, so I'm going to skyrocket them up the polls. It makes no sense. It's another reason why I hate preseason polls, because then they use that as a starting point instead of just saying, man, I put out this AP Top 25 poll, and I was completely wrong. I am an idiot sandwich. Let me start over from scratch. And they just don't do it.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
That's what they are, right? 100%.
100%.
All right, so I don't know. That's about it on the top poll. We all know that polls are ridiculous, especially when they're preseason polls, because there are so many inaccuracies, because you don't know. You don't know until these guys get on the field. Now that we've seen 1 week, things could change drastically over the next few weeks. So we're talking a lot about this poll, but really, does it matter in the end? No, it doesn't. So we're going to move on, Chris America, because college football, we've got a lot of great games coming up this weekend, but this Thursday night
Tomorrow night.
Yeah, you're right. I can't believe it's already tomorrow
night. It's already
night.
here, man. It's NFL season eve.
It feels like a Tuesday because of this whole Labor Day situation. When we took Monday off, so
Right.
Tuesday felt like Monday. Today feels like Tuesday. It's Wednesday. I can't believe it's already a hump day.
It's right here. We had to rush in an NFL fantasy draft last night. I appreciate you joining my league. But yeah, it's right here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that time of year where fantasy football, I think I've got like 3 drafts, one last night, one on Monday I had one. Actually, it was Sunday night I had one. I've got one Thursday night, which is weird because it's the first game of the season. I don't know why that dude scheduled it on a Thursday night, but I've been doing that league for a long time, so I just stuck with it. And, we get all excited about the NFL, but what really matters is the games on the field. And Thursday night, we get the first official NFL game, and I'm not talking that preseason garbage, that pile of trash that we had to watch the last 4 weeks, because we're over that garbage. We want to see what the real players can do. We want to see them at 100%, at full speed, and we're getting a big matchup. So with us diving into the NFL season, Chris America, I think we should give our AFC predictions. You have some predictions ready for the AFC, and tomorrow we'll dive into the NFC predictions. We're going full tilt NFL. Let's do it.
Yeah, we got some time before break, so I just say let's just stick to maybe our AFC divisional champions. Maybe we'll pick up an AFC winner. I don't know. I don't know if I want to dive that deep into it. So let's start off with the easy one, the AFC East. Hands down, it's got to be the Patriots. Until we see anything different, it's going to be the Patriots. I think it's going to require a Tom Brady fall off. I know you were on the Sip of Sports yesterday. Listen to that podcast yesterday. I thought you were a great guest. Good show. Give them a listen.
Thank you.
I know you said you expect a drop-off this year for Tom Brady. Do you really see that happening, or what are your thoughts there?
I see a drop-off for Tom Brady. This is the problem. He's playing in a division that has the Dolphins that are riding Ryan Tannehill, and I have zero confidence in. He's in a division with the Buffalo Bills, who have named Nathan Peterman the starter, the same man that played one half last year and had 5 interceptions. And I don't think that there is a chance that anybody beats the Patriots in this division. It's their division. Even if Tom Brady has a significant drop-off, it's still the Patriots. That's why you said at the beginning, this is the easy one to predict.
Yeah, and the AFC East draws the NFC North, so this is going to be the last year, most likely, that we see Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers. That's going to be Sunday night, November 4th. It's at New England, so New England kind of has the favor there. If you're right, Tom Brady should be full on. We should know by then if Tom Brady is falling off by November 4th, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Now, I would say the dark horse in this whole situation could be Sam Darnold. So the Jets, if Sam Darnold comes out and plays like a superstar, like the potential that he has, they could dethrone the Patriots, but I'm giving that a very, very tiny percentage. I think we're looking at a 95% chance that the Patriots win this division.
Yep, and like I said, they play the NFC North, so if Tom Brady has the fall off, we could see very much like a 8-8 or a 7-9 team come out of this division and go to the playoffs.
All right, let's go AFC North next. This is going to be a surprise for you, Chris America. I'm gonna throw you a really hot take. It's going to be a hot, liquid, wet bag of hot take right now. Are you ready for this? It's like a hot bag of vomit. The Cleveland Browns are taking the AFC North. I have a lot of fans in Cleveland. I have a lot of friends in Cleveland. I'm doing it. Bold prediction time. Cleveland Browns win the division.
Producer, man, can you hit the laugh track for me, please? Okay, thank you. This is another easy one. The only thing that's not easy about this one is Baltimore. They had a decent team last year. They looked okay. Maybe they take the next step. Harbaugh is still there. Harbaugh, I think, has to prove himself. I think last year at the end of the year I saw a stat that said he was at 500 since winning the Super Bowl. So he's got a lot to prove this year. But this should be Pittsburgh's division to lose. If Baltimore makes a run at it, I'll still be surprised even though I'm talking about them. Cincinnati, I just don't think they have enough juice. I don't trust Andy Dalton to lift them over the edge. He's a good, solid, average quarterback. He's a game manager. You like to have him if you don't have a quarterback. But yeah, this is definitely Pittsburgh's to lose. It's put up or shut up time for Ben Roethlisberger too. He's winding down, much like Tom Brady is. I think he's on his way out more than Tom Brady is because he's made several indications that he's ready to retire, where Tom Brady's like, I'm ready to play until 2065. But, you got Antonio Brown, you got Le'Veon Bell, you got Juju Schuster-Smith, who's on your fantasy team, by the way. Good pickup by you. I see Pittsburgh just kind of running away with this one.
I agree. Now, here I'm going to throw a scenario out at you. Now, this probably will not play out, but Le'Veon Bell has still not reported to Steelers camp. He is still not reported to the team. So this could be a standoff. Now, he has nothing to gain by not playing other than getting fined, which is not a gain at all. It's a loss. But he has nothing to gain by not playing because he's already been franchise tagged. I think he's just trying to prove something to the Steelers. Maybe he doesn't want to get hurt. Maybe he wanted that long-term extension. But if Le'Veon Bell has a long-term holdout, and you have an injury to one of these key players, the Steelers could fall apart because I feel like the Steelers' defense hasn't been as strong the last couple years as it had in the past. It's always been known as a defensive team, and I don't see them as strong. So I do have them as my wild card team in my predictions, but I do think right now, maybe this is me fantasizing a world that doesn't exist, but I like what Cleveland is doing. I like where they're going, and I'm hoping, maybe it's the inner sportscaster in me saying I'd love to talk about this all year long, but I'm hoping Cleveland comes out and dazzles. I think Cincinnati and Baltimore are both going to be middle of the road teams. They've both got challenges, like you said, Andy Dalton, Joe Flacco, and then maybe Lamar Jackson coming in and struggling as a rookie if Flacco can't get it done. I just think there's a lot of question marks on both of those teams. I think the two teams, and not that Cleveland doesn't have a lot of question marks, don't get me wrong, but I think Cleveland could come out with a chip on their shoulder, ready to prove the world that they are a legitimate team, and I've got the hope there. So I'm crazy. I think Steelers go wild card. Cleveland wins the division. Yes, that I did say that. And here, this is for you.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. You could be right. This is the NFL, and this is why we love the NFL, because we've seen teams like Cleveland maybe not bounce back from 0-16. That's probably never happened before, but that's because 0-16 doesn't happen. It's only happened twice. But what the Dallas Cowboys went 2-14 the year before they not recruited, but drafted Dak Prescott, and then they went 14-2 or 13-3, whatever it was. So we've seen
huge turnaround.
We've seen these kind of turnarounds before. When you add a rookie quarterback, you add a new running back, you add some new tools. This is at least on offense, this is a completely different team. They don't have the same quarterback, they don't have the same wide receivers, and they don't have the same running back. So this is still a question mark team. We always fall back on it's the Browns. That's an easy take, but for all intents and purposes, they have the same, or they have a new offensive core, and the defense has always been good. So you could be right. This could be a thing. I'm looking at Pittsburgh Steelers' schedule. They have 3 weeks. 3 weeks to get this deal done with Le'Veon Bell. That's when they play Cleveland, Kansas City, and Tampa Bay. If all things hold true from last season, Cleveland and Tampa Bay should be a win. Kansas City will be a struggle. Luckily, they got them at home. Then they have to play Baltimore, Atlanta, and the next weeks of their schedule. Sorry, I'm looking at Cleveland's schedule. No, whose schedule am I looking at? Yeah, I'm looking at the Steelers. Then they get into the meat of their schedule where they're playing Cincinnati, they're playing Atlanta, they're playing Carolina Panthers, they're playing at Jacksonville, they're playing at Denver. So they have to get this done before the middle of the season. Oh,
absolutely. 100%. I agree with you. Are you ready to move on to some AFC South?
Let's do some AFC South.
We live in the South. We're in Florida, so that tends for me to believe that there could be a Florida team that wins the South. Let's do this. Jacksonville, man.
Jacksonville
the Jaguars. Do you have them as your number one?
Bortles Mania. This division is probably the toughest to figure out, I think, when you're looking at last year to this year. Houston lost to Deshaun Jackson, so we don't know what Houston could have done. They looked like they were on fire. He's back. I think it's going to be a two-team race between Jacksonville and Houston. I know Ian, he's the Tennessee fan, right? Is it Ian that's the Tennessee fan over there, or is it?
I thought Ian was the Cowboys fan.
Ian's the Cowboys
fan. We did have this discussion.
Jay Will's the Steelers fan.
Yep.
I'm sorry, guys. There's a lot of you guys over there, and you guys kind of come in and out of the studio. So if we miss you, but there's a Tennessee Titans fan over there that'll be mad at us for saying that. I think Tennessee can be in this race. I think Mariota, he's got to make the next progression. He's got to make the same step. He's kind of in the same position Blake Bortles was in last year, where you're just waiting for him to take the next step. Luckily for Bortles, he was able to kind of take that next step without needing to go into the elite status. His defense carried him a little, but he was still a decent quarterback. He was still a good quarterback. This defense for Jacksonville, though, is just too nasty. I see Jacksonville winning this division. I do.
Yeah, I've got Jacksonville winning the division. And when you say those guys over there, you're talking about the Rehab Sports guys. You can catch them every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 12-Ounce Sports Radio. These guys put on a phenomenal show. Big NFL fans, big college football fans, and they are not fans of UCF, but they should be because Blake Bortles is a UCF legend, and he's going to take the Jaguars to the promised land and win the AFC South. I do have the Texans as my second wild card team in the AFC, but I think this is all Jacksonville. Great defense. Leonard Fournette, huge running back. He's going to have a big season, ton of yardage. I like where Jacksonville's going. I do think they are going to struggle a little bit with offensive weapons. They lost Marquise Lee in a bad knee injury in the preseason. They lost Allen Robinson in the offseason to Chicago, I believe. So you're seeing some little bit of deficiencies at Jacksonville, but not enough. But I do think Houston is going to come up. And I can't trust Indianapolis because Andrew Luck, I don't know what Andrew Luck is going to be. All right, Chris America, let's finish it up with the AFC West before we go to a commercial break. And who do you got? West Side, who do you got?
I got regular season Andy, man. Regular season Andy, he never lets me down. Regular season Andy's always there for me. I have the Kansas City Chiefs and regular season Andy getting it done once again. Their defense is still pretty good. And just this is what Andy Reid does. The regular season, if they gave out championships to regular season coaches, man, my boy Andy Reid would have it all day long.
So you believe in Patrick Mahomes?
Man, Mahomes smell you later. Yeah, I believe in Patrick Mahomes. He is going to do some good things, but Andy Reid is the key here. Andy Reid knows how to coach around his quarterback. He knows how to make his quarterback successful. One of the things that I like to look for in a coach with a quarterback with weaknesses is can he make play calls that hide those weaknesses, that mask them, that allow the quarterback to succeed. I hate
like
when
a
I
Jim
see,
Harbaugh, for example.
Right. I hate to see a coach who just sticks to their game plan, doesn't change anything, and watch his quarterback crash and burn. I've seen that all too many times the last 9 years as a Gators fan. But Andy Reid will make it happen. I think we read too much into preseason practices. Practices when you're supposed to force things. Practices when you're supposed to mess up. You have all the freedom in the world to make mistakes at practice. And I can't tell you how many times we've heard, like, oh, is this player going to be any good? He's thrown 15 interceptions at camp, and then he comes to game time and he lights the world on fire.
Yes, that happens all the time, but I have to go against your rookie quarterback and your Andy Reid for a team that lost a top 5 quarterback in Alex Smith. I don't know that I can put all of my faith in that team. Now, there is a team that I think is on the up and up with a veteran quarterback by the name of Phillip Rivers.
Don't do it.
The other LA team, the Chargers. That's right. He's got 18 kids. This guy, he's very mature, and he is going to light the world on fire. I like me some Phillip Rivers. I like what they're doing over there. Melvin Gordon, Keenan Allen, they've got the offensive weapons. Their defense is getting shored up. Joey Bosa is a future defensive player of the year type of player. Not saying he will be, but he could be in that conversation. So I love what the Chargers are doing, and I feel like the Chargers are going to take the division this year, sir.
Oh, man, you've done it. This is they trap everybody all the time, and I'm sorry, Kyle, man, this happens every year. People get high on the Chargers. And for good reason. There's a lot of good talent, and you mentioned Phillip Rivers. He's a great quarterback. But this happens every preseason, man. We get high on the Chargers, and they just let us down with another 8-8 or sub 8-8 season. I hope I'm wrong. I know last year I told everybody that Tampa Bay was the LA Chargers of last year, where everybody's super high on them, super deep playoff run. And guess what? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers chargered themselves. I hope I'm wrong, man. I hope I'm right that Kansas City wins. I hope I'm wrong that the Chargers do bad. I like to see Phillip Rivers. It would be fun to see Phillip Rivers in the playoffs. And but yeah, that would honestly be my number 2 team. Denver's still trying to find themselves at quarterback. They got who is it? They got the kid from Minnesota,
Case Keenum.
Right? Case Keenum.
Yep.
I almost said Keenan Allen, but I was like, no, that's not it. Case Keenum's over there. We'll see what he can do. I don't think he's the quarterback that can light the world on fire over there, but maybe that defense can carry them. It's not what it used to be, so we'll see. But, yeah, I think this is a very highly contested division.
I completely agree. Could go any way. So that has been our AFC predictions. We're up against the commercial break. I do want to say to all of our listeners out there, make sure you stay tuned. We will find out after the break if a pineapple belongs on a pizza.
Did you know 40 points on your credit score could cost you $40,000 on a mortgage? Thankfully, Lexington Law is here to help. Since 1991, Lexington Law has helped over 500,000 customers take action on their credit reports. Call 877-910-7472 to talk to a repair specialist now. Personalized credit consultation is free. Getting access to your report is free, plus free score evaluation with a recommended solution. Call now and get on the path to recovery. Call Lexington Law at 877-910-7472. That's 877-910-7472.
Oh, it's summertime. And what's that mean? We're all heading off to the golf course. But don't go too fast. Make sure you go to 12ouncesportsradio.com and book a tee time. At the bottom of any page, you'll see Book Like a Pro. Click that banner, enter your course of choice or zip code, find a tee time you like, book that tee time, and you'll get up to 50% off, courtesy of 12-Ounce Sports Radio. Book like a pro, even if you don't play like one.
Ring Central features all-in-one phone, messaging, and video conferencing. It's easy to use with unparalleled security. Ring Central simplifies things so you can grow. Call Ring Central to speak with a representative about a price for your growing business at 877-779-3860. Again, that's 877-779-3860.
Yeah, welcome back to this Wednesday morning. You are listening to the Scout Team on Scout Team Sports. We're excited to be here. Thank you for listening in to 12-Ounce Sports Radio. We have a great schedule ahead of us today. Clutch Talk Sports is on every morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., so make sure you stay tuned and listen to them. On Wednesday mornings at 7 a.m., we've got TNT Sports Talk, another great show. So immediately after our show, TNT will be airing. We have got a Hog Nation report coming on at noon, Stephen the Hood at 2, Girls Beer Sports, which is a great podcast. They're coming on at 4 o'clock. Reality Check-In, they have their TV audio replay on at 5. And tonight at 7:30, Scout Team goes live again. And, of course, We Talk Sports Good friends of the show on at 9:30 tonight. So a packed lineup on the 12-Ounce Sports Radio network. Listen at 12ouncesportsradio.com or download the TuneIn app, and you can listen on your cell phone easily. Just check it out. Great stuff coming from 12-Ounce Sports Radio. And us as the Scout Team, make sure you check us out. We're on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, at Scout Team Radio. But we are glad to be back on the airwaves because, Chris America, there was a big fight that happened last night in the Mariners clubhouse. And there's been a lot of speculation of what caused this fight. Details seem to be a little murky. We're not getting all of the real details, but you and I both have some sources that we've been really digging deep, trying to get the right information. So I've got a couple new sources that are giving me different mixed reports here. So what you have some sources also. Were you able to get some information on this big fight?
Yeah, so I guess there was the media was inside the Mariners locker room against Baltimore. They were I think they were at Baltimore. I'm not sure where they were at. My sources didn't confirm that. But it started off where there was a little bit of a heatedness going on in the clubhouse, and then they told the media members to get out. That's when you know things are getting serious, when they're like, hey, media, you gots to go. And then they close the door, and the next thing they know, they hear some skirmishes and everything, and then the fight fell out back into the media, and I'm very disappointed that the media didn't have their cell phones ready. The second you hear the skirmish going, time to bust out those cell phones, man. It's 2018. We have cameras on our phones. Let's see it, man. We can get it. A World Star people can get it going. Why can't you, media? That's your job. You had one job, media, and you let us down. But yeah, we all know how the clubhouse rule is. It's the number one rule of the clubhouse is what happens at the clubhouse stays at the clubhouse. It's just like Fight Club. We get nothing, but we've started digging some deeper dives, and I've heard a couple of theories floating around, Kyle. I have one. I know you've had a couple here. The first theory I heard was the thermostat. Now, we've all been at work where some jobs they don't let you control the thermostat, and this is why. But there's other jobs where you can kind of go over and control the thermostat. And, Kyle, I don't know if you've ever been in this office before where somebody likes to cool it down all the way, and then another person likes to put it up because they're too cold. And next thing you know, they're brawling out in the clubhouse.
Yeah, that's a good theory. I think your source may be very accurate with that because that is definitely a possibility. But fortunately for you, I have a couple sources, and my sources are telling me a couple different things. I don't know what to believe. These have not been confirmed, but I would say that there was a very heated discussion that turned into a brawl because somebody had put the toilet paper back on the roll, and there was a claim that was put in the wrong direction. Do you go over or do you go under? The clubhouse was divided on which way to put the roll of toilet paper, and because of this, we had a full-out brawl.
Yeah, you always go over, though. The 1,000%, you always go over, and then you fold it into a little triangle when you're done.
I feel like under. I think this is going to be a problem, Chris America. I don't know if we can do a morning show if you and I can't agree on which way the toilet paper goes.
I'm going to go full on Anthony, just threaten your life and fight you at
Where are you? I'm
going
to come get you. I'm going to come get you.
Tonight's show at 7:30. Make sure you tune in to listen to our fight over toilet paper.
Let's do it. All right, did you have any other sources with any other information on why this fight broke out?
Yeah, this fight, I got another source saying that this argument all started with one of the most classic arguments of all time, and that is Star Wars versus Star Trek. Which one's better? Which one rules the nerd kingdom? And they were having none of it. Then somebody brought up Jar Jar Binks, and all hell broke loose. It just turned out into an all-out brawl. So I think I do want to lean towards this one, that it was a little bit of like an all-summer-long debate, and then someone throws in Jar Jar Binks off the top ropes, and that's it. That Jar Jar Binks brings out the heated fire of just anger out of people.
It really does. That's a very good source that you have. I think this is a very plausible reason why. I don't know if mine is going to be any better, though I did draft Juju Schuster-Smith last night on our fantasy draft, and I think I'm going to name my team Juju Binks because I feel like that would be a great name for my fantasy football team. But moving on, see, I had the other classic debate. It was not the Star Wars, Star Trek debate that caused this fight. I got the old, who's better, Brittany or Christina? And this seemed to really build a lot of momentum in the clubhouse because there was Team Brittany and Team Christina, and these guys just would not compromise on who was the best ever. I don't understand. It turned very hostile very quickly.
Kyle, I think your source let the genie out of the bottle.
Oh, sorry, I got a
little delay. There it is.
Yeah, I didn't have it up. Sorry. For me, not having the soundboard up.
That's all right. That's all right. I have one final theory that I have from a source, and this is the most plausible to me because I have been there multiple times throughout my professional life. And that is that this fight started over someone taking someone else's lunch out of the break room fridge and eating it. I cannot tell you how many times I have put my name on things. I have spit on my food, licked my sandwich, whatever it was that I did. Let the workplace know that this is my food, and still you go home, you go on lunch break, you clock over to lunch break. You go to the break room, you're craving whatever it is you brought to work, you open the fridge, and it's gone. And I have honestly almost lost it on a coworker for stealing my food on my lunch or before my lunch break. And there's no doubt in my mind that this is probably the most likely what happened is somebody had their lunch taken out of the break room refrigerator.
Yeah, that is one of the worst ever. I had that happen to me once a long time ago, and the feeling of when that happened is just the anger that comes inside of you when that happens is just it's incomprehensible. It really is. My last one, and I teased this a little bit before the break, is I felt like they were doing a little pregame lunch snack. They wanted to bring in some pizzas, and one of the dudes, he orders a pineapple pizza, and then all of a sudden the age-old debate, should pineapple be on a pizza, breaks out. And, I don't know if pineapple should be on a pizza or not. I actually think the Hawaiian pizza is good, but there is a certain piece of society that just absolutely hates the idea of fruit on a pizza. And these guys, they really will stand their ground for their stance on no fruit on a pizza.
Yeah, I get why people don't like it. I can understand. There was a while where I didn't like pineapple pizza or Hawaiian pizza, but eventually it kind of grew on me. It's kind of like beer. The first time you try beer, you don't like it, but then you go to a party or you go to a bar where that's all they serve, and you're kind of forced to drink it, and then that's when you acquire your taste for it. And that's what happened to me. I went to a party. All the pizza that was left by the time I got to, I went late. So by the time I got to the party, all that was left was Hawaiian pizza. So I was forced to eat it, and then I was so hungry it didn't matter. And then after like 3 or 4 slices, I eat that much pizza when I eat pizza. I was kind of this isn't so bad. This isn't anything big. The last theory I have, or the last source I have, is they were debating the Team Chris America or Team Loudbeard in the Samuel L. Jackson draft. That's what the fight was over.
Well, I lost that one. I'm not even getting into that. It's a sore subject. Thank you for bringing it up. I know you won. You're a jerk. I'm moving on. Next, I'm going to do a little quick segment, Chris America. I've got it abbreviated. We're going to go through this pretty quickly, but every Wednesday, Loudbeard likes to get weird, so I've got some of the weird stories from the week, some of the sporting news stories, and I just want to go ahead and throw these out there for you. So, Joe Jonas was spotted at the U.S. Open face-sucking with his girlfriend and beer-chugging on the sidelines as the U.S. Open was going on. Big story, bad news there, Joe Jonas. In other news, Drew Brees is suing his jeweler for swindling him. The jeweler sold a $8.1 million diamond to Drew Brees, and it got appraised at $2 million. Drew Brees suing his jeweler. He's getting swindled. SI swimsuit model Camille Kostek, she came out publicly and wanted Jalen Ramsey to know that she feels like Gronk is better and hotter. Southwest Airlines is investigating an alleged in-flight masturbator. And lastly, naked guy, he jacks a truck on the LA freeway, and the reason he was naked, he wanted cops to know that he wasn't packing a weapon. All right, that was the Loudbeard Gets Weird segment of the week, Chris America. I'm glad you were listening in, because getting these weird stories out there, this is what the Americans want to hear.
They do want to hear it, and I got to say, I'm going to cap off your Loudbeard Gets Weird with the weirdest coach of all time. I got a little soundbite from Mr. Coach Mike Leach. Let's take a listen.
How much credit do you give the strength and conditioning staff for this game, considering a lot of people coming into this game talked about the altitude, and you guys are playing at 7,000 plus feet and thought you might struggle, but the way you guys played the second half, it looks like there was no problems with that.
Well, we strategically have seasonal forest fires as we prepare for the season in the event that we do find ourselves in altitude. And I really believe that our oxygen was more diminished by the smoke in the air with those forest fires. And so I thought it was great training for us to come up here. And so I think God smiled on us with the forest fires, and it worked out very much according to plan today. And the other thing is and I'm from the state. We used to talk about elevation all the time, and I love talking about it myself, just like I like talking about jackalopes. And I sold a bunch of jackalopes to people to this day from back east. I think that there are spots out west where jackrabbits actually have horns. And I actually have one at my house. And if someone ever asks, is that real? I say, you're damn right, it's real. And so we used to talk about elevation the same way. But I think there's a being in shape, not being in shape.
What a
God, I love
Wow.
Coach Michael Leach. So what do we learn? We learned that God creates forest fires to help Washington State play in high altitudes, and jackalopes are real. Don't at Coach Michael Leach.
Your Honor, it was unbelievable. You understand?
That was unbelievable, Chris America. This is our Weird News Wednesday. That was one of the weirdest press conferences I've ever heard in my life, Chris America. Thank you for bringing that up, putting a little light on our Wednesday, making it fun. That's what we do. We're not all serious all the time. We like to have a little bit of fun in our show.
Well,
I
got a Captain Fun Killer, Loudbeard. I came across the story, and we have a Captain Fun Killer. He's a guy that you hear him talk, and you're like, man, this guy must be awful at parties. But so we remember Avi, your boy Ovechkin, went all out with the Stanley Cup this past summer, right?
I do remember that. That was legendary. This is the stuff legends are made of, Chris America.
Do you remember some of the things he was doing with the cup?
I think the keg stand comes to mind because that was the most memorable part. Even Jimmy Fallon was getting up and doing keg stands on that.
Yep, that is exactly where I'm going with this. He did other things like take naps with it and everything else like that, but his crowning moment was doing the keg stand. But according to the keeper of the cup, which that's got to be, like, how do you get that job? Like, what is the application process for that?
I feel like that's like a Game of Thrones reference or something. Like
it really is.
We're giving you weird titles, and I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
So the keeper of the cup, Philip Pritchard, has this quote: We ask them politely not to do it. We're trying to preserve the history of Stanley Cup. We don't want any unnecessary damage to it or a person. In case they drop the person or he presses too hard or something, we would like them not to do keg stands with the cup. So Captain Killjoy here, Philip Pritchard, says no more keg stands with the cup. Do you like that move, Loudbeard?
Oh, I hate it. I get the tradition. You don't want the Stanley Cup to be ruined. It passes along each year. Blah, 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 yada, 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 whatever, whatever, whatever. You know what it is? Let the guys have fun. The fun police, forget you, man. Get out of here. We don't need no fun police on our Stanley Cup. We need this thing to just be taken care of. Do your job. Let them do keg stands and just fix it every year. Bang out any dents that are in it. Make it look nice. Engrave their names on it. Do whatever you got to do, but don't police the keg stands.
And isn't that kind of part of the nostalgia and the uniqueness of the Stanley Cup that it gets passed year to year to year? Like to where the dings, the dents, the scratches, the marks are part of the history and part of the story. You know, if he tips it over and it falls down and there's a big dent in the lid or the lip of the cup, isn't that something where 50 years from now you say you point at it and you say, and if you see right here there's a dent in the lip of the cup, that was from great Ovechkin, who won the cup, did a keg stand, and fell over drunkenly and dented it. And everybody will be like, man, that is a awesome story. What do you get out of passing a cup down to down and then just saying, you see this really shiny cup, nothing's happened to it ever? Like, that's a boring story.
That is a boring story. You get nothing out of it. Absolutely nothing.
So stop it, Captain Killjoy. Let us have our fun.
All right. So what do you got else? What else you got there?
I don't really have anything else going on in the sports world. I want to save a lot for tonight. Make sure you do tune in for the rest of the show. Carrie from Girls Beer Sports is going to be on tonight. You can catch her show. They moved hers to 4, right? Girls Beer Sports is on at 4?
Yeah, Girls Beer Sports is on at 4. Before we end the show, though, I do have a couple little news and nuggets from around the world that I want to share with you, sir. You all right if I go and do this and then we can wrap it up?
No, it's not okay. I don't
want it. All
want
right, good. I'm glad. Thank you, Daddy, for punishing me and not letting me read my stories. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. You got on me the other day about talking tennis too much, so what I'm going to do is just talk a little bit more tennis. So
yes.
Serena ends up making it through to the semifinals, has a great showing, started out a little slow, but ends up with the big win. Roger Federer is out. I announced him as my potential winner on the Sip of Sports podcast. I was way off. Nadal barely gets by. He has a 5-set thriller with theme, and then Djokovic plays tonight. So U.S. Open is getting hot and heavy. Make sure you're checking it out. Raiders players are still not happy with the Khalil Mack trade. Derek Carr says it isn't anything anybody wanted around here. So that is another issue in Oakland. Also, it's in Vegas now, right? The city of Oakland is planning on suing the Raiders for leaving to Las Vegas. And Ryan Howard, great Philly legend, finally announces retirement on the Players Tribune. And lastly, I've got to give some love to Jacob deGrom. He's having a Cy Young type season, and he throws his 25th straight game with 3 or fewer runs. Oh, and Thug Rose, your friend. She is officially been told, the media has been told by her coach that the fighter does not want to leave her house because she has been emotionally traumatized by Conor McGregor attacking the bus. So even months later, she still does not like leaving her house.
Wow.
And that has been around the world news from your friend Loudbeard.
I like it. We'll stick to the local news. Make sure you tune in once again to Girls Beer Sports. They're going to try and come up with a bet for Florida versus Kentucky. They're big Kentucky fans over there. They're out of Lexington. They're all alumni and everything else like that. So make sure you tune into that and tune in to 7:30 tonight. And make sure you support all of our other shows. Kyle, you got that schedule again?
Oh, yeah. I've got the schedule right here. So we have a great schedule ahead of us. You're listening to the Scout Team on 12-Ounce Sports Radio. You can check it out on 12OunceSportsRadio.com or download the TuneIn app and just search 12-Ounce Sports Radio on the TuneIn radio stations, and you can listen to it anytime, anywhere. And what you'll be listening to is you'll be listening to us, the Scout Team. At 7 a.m., TNT Sports Talk comes on. 8 a.m., Clutch Talk Sports. Scout Team gets replayed again at 11. You've got Hog Nation at noon. Steve in the Hood at 2, Girls Beer Sports at 4, Reality Check-In at 5, live from the 815 at 6:30, Scout Team again at 7:30, and We Talk Sports Good live tonight at 9:30. This is a, let's just say we'll call it the all-star lineup of all-star lineups. That's what this is.
Yeah, I love it, man. Look forward to seeing you guys tonight, 7:30. Let's get down to dirty with the Scout Team After Dark. See you soon.
Getting jiggy with it.
Na 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 na.
Since you had 10 seconds to listen to this commercial, I'm sure 10 minutes won't hurt you. Mike and 10 on 12-Ounce Sports Radio. See you then.
Hey, this is Christian.
Hey, this is Damon.
And this is The Amazing Nerd Show.
We're a podcast that takes a deep dive into nerd culture. Every episode, we will talk comics, movies, video games, and even wrestling.
You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Podbean. The Amazing Nerd Show. The show you never knew you wanted.